Hi everyone, in this session I would like to discuss some more advanced options that we have in our recording IDE. And until now we have been talking about action commands, verification, inputs, outputs, but we also have the option to use control commands in our recording IDE, specifically if and while, which enables us to add conditions and even loops to our recording script. In general, we do not recommend to complicate the recording, so we recommend to keep it as simple as possible because it will make it more stable and more easy to maintain. But in some cases, there is no choice and I do need to use these control commands. To demo it, let's say, just for the sake of this demo, that I want to create a service that instead of capturing the first 10 lines of the absences table, I want to paginate to the next 10 lines and capture this data. But of course, I only want to do it in the case that I do have more than 10 lines. I mean, I can get into a user that only has 8 lines, and then if I try to click the next 10 buttons, probably it won't be there and I will fail. So I want to create a scenario, a script, where I first check if I do have a pagination, I do have a button which enables me to paginate to the next 10 lines, and only then click it and bring the data. So let's create a new script, a new test case. I'll copy the original script, which brings us the first page, and modify it. So right here, instead of getting the first lines of data in the table, before getting the data, I will try to check if I have the option to paginate to the next page and then do it, and only then get the data from the table. How would I do that? I will insert a command here, and first I will check if this button exists. So I will use a command store element present, which enables me to check whether specific element exists. And I want to check if this one exists. And then I will store the result in a variable that I will call next exist. The next thing to do is to add the condition. So let me add a new command called if. This is my control command. In the condition, I will say if next exists, which is the results of the previous command. And if it exists, I will click it. Sorry. Click and wait. I will click the next command. And then I also need to close the if block. So I have and if. And now let's see what happens. What I expect to happen is that I will get into this page, but instead of taking the first 10 lines, I will check if this next button exists. It will exist. I will click it and get the data of the next rows. So I'm getting in. I found that it exists. I did paginate, as you can see here. And the stored text that I will bring will be of the next page. I expect to see the 28th of March here. And this is what I have. Okay, so this is how I work with the if statement. I also have else, which I can add if I want to. So it's a full if statement. One thing that I want to note, I can't nest if inside another if. I mean, there is only one level of nesting. Don't try to start an if section and then inside of it, add another if section, it won't work. Now, let's say that I want to do something even more complicated. Let's say that I want to capture the last page. That is, I want to press on this next button until there is no next button. That is, until I reach the end of the pagination, and only then take the table. So I will replace this if with a loop, with a while. Instead of if, let me remove that first. And now I will wrap this click with a while statement saying, while I have this pagination button, I want to click it. After I click it, I need, of course, to check again that the pagination button still exists. So I will check it again, and I will close the while. So let's see what we have here. I'm checking if I have a pagination button, the next 10 lines. Then I start a loop saying, while I have it, press it, check if I still have the next pagination. If so, then I will get to the start of the loop and get in the loop again. If not, I will get out and take the information, which will be the data of the last page. Let's see if it works for me. Let's try to edit again. Maybe I wrote it with some syntax error. Okay. Now I'm running. And now look closely at what happens here on the left. You can see that it paginates. I have a lot of absences rows, but we'll get to the end of it in a minute. And once we'll get there, we will get out of the loop. Here it is, and we will take the data of the table. So if I look at the stored var, I see that I took the 12th of August. So this is a demo of how I can add some control commands and make my recording script a bit more complicated and do some more complicated use cases. Again, we recommend to use it only in cases that I must do it. It is much better to keep my recording script more simple, to make it as stable as possible and as simple to maintain as possible. Thank you.